I want to start today by telling you something I forgot to tell you in part 1. I told you that at birth I was given the name Anna. What I forgot to tell you was that when I was legally adopted at 4, my parents made the decision to keep my name Anna because I already knew it. I was already attached to it. Otherwise, I would be Cynthia or Jessica. I think I'm an Anna. And welcome to Bored, Lazy, and Retired. This is the continuing story of my path to whole identity. And let's fast forward to 1991. I was 25 years old, and I had gone on a long weekend to Palm Springs with my friend and roommate. We lived in North Orange County, California, and but I worked at LAX for a major airline. And when I got back to work, I had logged in, and we had time to read updates, any kind of news that we needed to be aware of. And so, but before I had a chance to start taking calls, I was in reservations. And my supervisor called me into her office. I was like, oh boy, I hope I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, was I not supposed to have that extra day off for Palm Springs? So I get in there, sitting down, and she's looking at me, and she looks really, really uncomfortable. She goes, I don't really know even how to say this. She goes, let me just ask, do you know you're adopted? I said, oh yeah. Yeah, of course. I've known my whole life I was adopted. And she goes, well, there's a woman that called. She says that she's your long-lost sister. Oh boy, what is going on? My long-lost sister? Well, if I had a sister, she wasn't lost. I have an older sister. I thought, I don't have a long-lost sister. And then I thought about it, and it's like, oh, wait. If she's my sister, maybe she knows who my mother or my father are, or both. And we had a little bit of a conversation, and she goes, you can take a little time. I went up to our work mailboxes, and there was a letter forwarded from our headquarters in another state. I'm not going to explain exactly who I work for, but our headquarters was clear across the country. And I opened it up, I read it. It had everything. And it had our mother's name. It had our father's name. Told me where it was adopted. Told me where she was adopted. Oh, and it told me she was adopted. So she didn't live with our parents. She doesn't know who they are other than names, but she had more information than I had. And I go to the break room. We have payphones back then, no cell phones. And I called my mom. And I said, so Mom, the weirdest thing just happened. My supervisor called me into the office. I got a letter stating this woman was my long-lost sister. And I said, her name is, and as I go to say her name, my mom said her name. And I said, that's weird. And I said, and she says, our mother's name is, and as I go to say it, my mother says it. And it's like, okay, you know who my parents are? And she said yes. She had not met them, but she knew their names. And I asked her, why didn't you tell me? She goes, you didn't ask. I was waiting for you to ask. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. She was just waiting for me to ask. So I head back down to work to calm myself down. It's like, okay, nothing I can do. I work a swing shift. And this information, by the way, had my sister's phone number, but I wasn't going to call her from work. So I went back down to our call area, and I sit down and start getting ready to take calls, and one of my coworkers comes in. She starts like an hour after me or something, so by this time I had been there for a little bit, and she goes, oh, Anna, you're not going to believe this. A couple days ago, I got a phone call from a girl who says she's your long-lost sister. Like, what? And I was like, okay, this is crazy. She is definitely looking for me. And the craziness that she would actually get to a person who actually knows me by calling the regular airline reservations phone number, the odds of that are crazy. I worked for a major airline. We have a lot of reservations offices, and just the odds of that are just astronomical. But I get to work, I go home, it's too late to call her. I get home close to midnight, and I go to bed. I wake up the next morning and I get ready for work, and then I call her. She is so excited. I'm nervous, of course, but we set up a meeting for a couple days, my next day off. I don't remember how long it was. I could probably figure it out, but trying to find that information right now just would take too much. And so I arranged to meet her at the mall that would have been the closest to us growing up, because she grew up in a neighboring town. Literally, we shopped at the same mall. The same mall that, well, how do I say this? We didn't live in the same town, but this was the closest mall to both of us. We went to rival high schools. Funny. Anyway, I got a little ahead of myself. We arranged for a specific spot to meet, and so when I got there, and I'm a single mom. My son at the time was 3 years old, and she was a mom too. Her daughter was close to 5, or just turning 5, or just turned 5. I can't remember. But I think this is pretty sure we're in April. And I think her daughter's birthday, her 5th birthday, was right after we met. But, so she was going to bring her daughter with her. And I decided to come through one of the major department stores to the open area of the mall. And she spotted me and ran right up to me and hugged me. It was really pretty cool. And she had long brown hair. I have red hair. You can't probably tell in this picture, but it's gotten darker as I've gotten older, a little less obvious that I'm a redhead. It's almost a nondescript color. It's not really brown, it's not really red, but she has brown eyes, I have blue eyes. It's like, okay, well, we don't really look like sisters, but we get to talking, and we're sitting there. The kids are playing in this play area together, like they're only 3 and 5, but they're having no problems getting along. So we're keeping an eye on them, but we're talking. And we discover that at this particular mall, when both of us were in high school, we were in a program at school called ROP. I can't remember what it stands for, but we got high school credits for working in retail stores. We were in ROP at this mall at the same time. There were 2 classrooms running concurrently, but separately. But there was, I think, 1 or 2 times where both classes actually met together. And we very likely would have run into each other at this mall. Sorry, I'm shaking the table. I'm shaking the camera. Sorry. I just realized. Anyway, my sister had arranged for, we wouldn't recognize each other. She had her hair bleach blonde. There's no way we would have figured out we were related. It's just weird that we could have crossed paths so easily without knowing. But she arranged for the local newspaper to be there and interview us. So we made the front page of the paper, below the fold, but because there was some serious stuff going on that was above the fold at the time. But we made the front page of a major, to us anyway, major newspaper, and about our long-lost meeting. The one thing we discovered, though, or that I discovered, she already knew, was she was in search of our biological mother at this time. And we eventually, only a month later, her search for our mother panned out. Our mother also was from this same general area, at least at the time that we were each born. And our mother didn't even live in California any longer at this time. She had left a message with somebody she had heard that our mother knew. And I guess she came to visit, and the message got passed along. And so the following month, May, we met our biological mother. And suffice it to say, it became obvious why she didn't raise us. I would say that she was a perpetual teenager. And I don't want to go in further than that. We talked, we spent many hours together the day I got to finally meet her, because again, I'm working full time. My sister is not. She's a stay-at-home mom and married. But my sister, we were asking questions, and at the time she told us both that we had the same father. And my sister continually pressed this issue. I wasn't so much concerned. I didn't have a decision made. This was all, I had never made the decision to look for a biological family at that point. And so it wasn't as big a concern on my part to look. But my sister had been searching. She found me. She then found our mother. And she wanted to find our father. And because she kept pushing, all of a sudden our mother said, well, you have different fathers. They were friends, not the same person. She gave names, but, we didn't know if any of that was particularly accurate. We just didn't know. We had to take her at her word. But the following month, we decided that we were going to drive to Arizona. That's where our mother lived, with our grandmother. So we were going to Arizona to meet Grandma. And we were going to stay with our aunt and cousins. And I finally kind of realized who I look like. I have the blue eyes. My grandma has blue eyes. Or at least to that point, that's all I knew. But my grandma, I'm an average height woman at this time. I'm 5'6". Well, I was at the time 5'6". I'm now 5'5". But we took a picture, and I have my arm around Grandma, and I'm looking down at the top of her head. She's tiny, 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 tiny. But my aunt has strawberry blonde hair, which is what I had at the time. Well, not at the time. When I was little, I was strawberry blonde. It just got darker and darker as I got older. And she has blue eyes. And I have a picture of my son at 3 sitting on my aunt's lap. And you can definitely see the family resemblance. It is the strangest feeling to finally see the connections of people that you look like, even though there were people in my high school. I had teachers that my brothers had, and my brothers were blonde hair, blue-eyed, that saw the family resemblance. I always got a kick out of it because I knew I was adopted. They didn't. The school teachers didn't know. Maybe they did in elementary, I don't know. But in high school, they certainly didn't know biologically I wasn't related to my brothers. And so to see a picture of my son looking quite a bit like my aunt, it was pretty weird, but really cool. I had developed a very strong interest in genetics. I did a report in, I think, junior high school on DNA, and it hadn't even been mapped yet. Or I don't even remember if it had been started yet, but there was some information on DNA, just I don't even remember what it was. I may or may not still have that report, but my mother, my biological mother, wanted me to call her mom. I was not comfortable with that. I have a mom, and so it was kind of hard. But my son could call her Grandma Kathleen. Oh, sorry. I wasn't going to say names. Now you know. I'm not going to restart this for that. And you know, that was fine. It was fine. But so then my sister decided to keep looking, but we really didn't know where to go from there. We started building a relationship, but I kind of pulled back. My sister didn't, and that's great. It's her decision, because she wanted more answers. And at that point, I didn't really. My family was my family, and I mean my adoptive family. I fit in the family that I was adopted into really like you wouldn't believe. My dad's family, his mother was a redhead with blue eyes. I had my dad's eyes. I had his body shape, even though biologically I was not related. And, you know, it was what it was. I was happy to know my biological mother's family. I still am. I'm still in contact with them via Facebook. You know, I haven't seen them in a long time, but my little niece, who's not little, she's a mother of, let's see, how many kids does she have? She has 5 kids now, and I'm still waiting for grandchildren, but my sister has quite a few. So that's where we'll leave it. I have discovered my biological mother thanks to my sister's search, and next time we'll continue and see if I decide to search for my biological father. Anyway, if you like and subscribe and join me next time, you'll get to hear. See ya.